All right, folks, we are live once again with Driving the Conversation, coming back to you from sunny, way too sunny Central Alabama, where I believe it's a good, was it 102 today is what the heat index was. Bunch of stuff that we don't like. But anyway, we are here once again to talk about game design again. And as always, we follow up our key to effective tabletop role playing game design with, well, a successful game designer to talk about the process. A couple of things to hit off on real quick. One second. Excuse me, I decided I needed to breathe hair. That works great. So, as a little bit of a nod of the hat to our guest this evening, I have got a maple syrup old fashioned. Replace the simple syrup with maple syrup, and I've got a good strong, the last of the Doc Holliday American bourbon in here. So we got a good Canadian American thing going on because we are bringing in Bear the Gen X GM to talk about, well, his games he likes, things that are important about designing them, and how to make a game that actually does what it's supposed to do. While you're here and while we're waiting on folks to trickle in, I would greatly appreciate it if you smash that old like and share and subscribe buttons, all that stuff. You know, tell your friends to come hang out with us. Let me know what you got going on here in the chat, any questions that you might have for our guest, because he is our guest and he should be treated as such. Anyway, this one ought to be fun. Bear is not known to parse his words and has some wonderfully strong opinions, which of course makes him, more or less the same as me in that regard. So who knows what fun stuff might pop up out of this one. Shellback, good to see you, my friend. Stirring my maple syrup old fashions with crispy bacon. That is actually fantastic. I did not have any bacon made to make the drink. Otherwise, I would definitely do that. I will say this, if you guys haven't done it, what's the name of that company? I think it's Smoke Bros, I believe is what it is, or Smokehouse. I'll have to look it up and get back on that. But there is a really, really good old-fashioned company. Like, they sell the simple syrups and the bitters and kits and smoking kits and stuff like that for it. But they have a maple bacon simple syrup that is absolutely fantastic. But I will say this, a good bottle of either Vermont or Canadian maple syrup does wonders for an old fashioned. It serves in easy. It goes really well with a good high rye bourbon. But anyway, we are going to be bringing Bear on here in a second, just as soon as we give a few more people filter in here. Of course, he runs Zenith. He has Zenith Comics and has got 3 games, 2 of which that we're probably going to spend a lot of time talking here. But the big thing is his games are predominantly superhero games, and he does tend to approach the tabletop games from a little bit of a different perspective. A lot of people, definitely a tabletop first computer game, should have been called CRPGs type person. Also very much a different philosophy on how the game should be run. Very, like me, has a big separation between game master and player that needs to be there. Famously saying that if he could get away with it, he would have his game where the game master rolls no dice whatsoever. If he wanted to roll dice, he'd be a player, which set off my comment section just on Monday. So we will be talking about that kind of stuff. We got Limey Dragon here to support the Bear. Appreciate you stopping by. And you know what, Tucci, I'm glad you're here. Just actually, you'll be dipping out just about 15 minutes before we're done. We'll probably be winding up about that time, so that works out just about perfect. Before I bring on the Bear, last thing. Corvid Codex Volume 1. It is now on the shelves at Ernest and Hadley Booksellers in Tuscaloosa. It is on the shelf at the Comic Strip in Tuscaloosa. It has been picked up by a few game shops tentatively. I'm waiting on them to process some orders here in Birmingham. And so we're starting to get on some actual shelves. Might be doing some book signing events once they get global distribution, so I can hook them up with the actual distributor at some of the Second and Charles and whatnot, and my authors in their various cities, up in Kentucky and Indiana, out in New Mexico and Arizona. Those guys are going to start looking at potentially doing some of the same, doing some of these signing events once that's there. So that'll be pretty cool. But for right now, Lulu, folks, you can grab the both the paperback and the digital copies on Lulu. I'm going to go ahead and throw the digital copy link or the paperback copy link in the chat right now. Get you a copy, guys. It's fantastic. It's all kinds of great pulpy goodness. 7 stories to enjoy yourself with. We got good stuff right here. I've just recently got the second revision out that has corrected a lot of my own personal editing errors, including my very embarrassing use of the incorrect who's in a letter from the editor, because I added that towards the end of the process and clearly failed to do my editing on it. But other than that, all that stuff has been corrected. Stuff fantastic here. And we are going to bring on everybody. Please say hi to Bear, the Gen X GM. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on. Hello to everybody who's watching.
I appreciate you coming by. I know you...
including one of my players. Sorry we didn't have the game tonight, Limey, but...
I was just about to say, I greatly appreciate you, because I know that Thursday is a night that you game, and you put that on hold to waste your time here with me. And I do greatly appreciate that.
Hey, Shellback, how you doing, man? Haven't seen you in a minute.
Yep, Shellback.
Coochie. Oh, coochie. Hello, coochie. So what's up? What are we doing? What's happening? Let's talk about this.
Fantastic, man. Well, first, let's talk a little bit about what you got going on. Let's see, Heroic 5e, I believe, is your newest. Is it not?
Well, to quote Dr. Frankenfurter, I've been working on my latest obsession, and that would be this Heroic 5e, my baby. So, as you mentioned, I got 3 games published. Well, 2 games published and 1 still in the works. This is Heroic 5e, and then there's Valorous, which is a fantasy port of the old Marvel superheroes, and then I have Heroic Classic, which is the old Marvel superheroes. Now, you may be saying, Bear, why do you have these in your hands but no Heroic Classic to show? Well, that's simple. These I did by myself. Had some friends read stuff, proof it, things like that, but I was the decision maker every step of the way, and I didn't let anybody influence me, except I made 2 mistakes with this one. I paid for an art cover, and I paid for a back cover, but the interior is all really cool AI-generated OSR-style D&D art. So because I had to pay for those 2 things, even though I've sold multiple copies, I may about sell about another 5 to 10, and I'll break even to pay off the art costs. Had I just used AI art for the covers, I'd have made pretty decent money on this project so far. Not great money, but enough to maybe buy a new TV or something. So that would have been nice. So with Heroic 5e, I said, this is mine. I'm in charge, and everybody can go pound sand. And there's lots of art in it. And the art is all absolutely AI generated. So if you don't like AI art, some of it's not, like some of it's old cover art from my comics that I use just because, it's lying around. I'll show you a piece like that in a second. Here we go. This is the standard color. My premium color hasn't arrived yet. But like this is an example of, some of the art you'll see in it and what have you. And that's the cover of one of my comics. But the whole point is that Heroic Classic raised a bunch of money, had a absolute cascade effect of things happen immediately after we got the money. 1, inflation shot up 40%. That hurt. 2, I'm in Canada, so BackerKit insisted I had to have all my money in Canadian money, but every artist and person I work with insists on being an American paid in American money. And the Canadian dollar tanked, where now it costs me an extra, with exchange rates and all that shit, and using like PayPal or whatever to pay people, $100 American cost me 150 Canadian. So half my money just vanished overnight. Then I got, am I allowed to swear here?
You can say whatever you want to. I mean, hell, I'm still, folks, just so everybody knows, I'm still like, 60 60 subscribers away from 1,000 when I start giving out minis.
Nice.
So since I'm not monetized, cuss all you want to.
Cool. So I got fucked over by a bunch of artists, and I got fucked over by one artist that I paid up front who was going to do all the art for the project. He delivered a cover and then had a mental health breakdown, which basically became the most expensive cover I've ever paid for in my life. Then I had other artists who came in who basically would show us their portfolio, and we'd go, oh, this guy's really good. All right, let's use him. I don't know if you know, you've commissioned a lot of artists. They all insist on being paid up front now. They don't like being paid after the fact because they got screwed over by people like Adamant Entertainment and things like that. So we paid up front, and then they delivered art that was nowhere near as good as the stuff they showed us in the portfolio, to the point where some of it was just unuseful. Then we had modules written by people who were the modules we were supposed to put with the backer kit, who didn't even bother, learning the game system. Delivered basically unusable product, got paid, but unusable product, which we're now rewriting ourselves to make it better. Then a friend stepped in, rewrote one of them, but he didn't have time to learn the game system, so we got to go edit that one as well. So it just became this cascade of failures for the last 2 years of trying to get this product out. I run an amazing Patreon. Everyone keeps telling me it's the best deal on the internet. And I went to the 410 backers, and I said, hey, if you guys want to see this get done faster, if all of you became a $5 a month patron, this would be done in 6 months. We'd be ready to go. That was 2 years ago. None, maybe 10 of them did it. I even gave them a free 3-month trial so they could see what I was doing and understand the value of it and get all the good stuff. Out of the 410 free trials I gave out, 25 were used. Free. And this is all of this has added up to develop in me something that is very important for my design process, which is fuck you. I do it myself. I do it the way I want. And if you don't like it, tough fucking shit. There's 1,000 other games you can go buy. But I am done absolutely trying to please anybody but myself, because that is a fool's errand, because people are crazy, and that's just the end of it for me. So that's where we're at. So Heroic Classic will be coming out. I got a couple of friends who are artists who are pitching in, donating art for it, which is great. And some of them getting all the time. And I've had a couple of friends who are publishers who had I won't name them because that would be rude, but I went to them and I said, hey, you got any superhero art you own the rights for? You'd be willing to donate to the project? And they came through in spades and donated a bunch of art as well. So is it going to look like what I wanted it to look like? No. But is it going to come out? Yes. We talked about doing AI art. At one point I suggested about 1.5 years ago, I said, hey guys, would you mind if I did an AI art version that will be clearly labeled, contains AI art, that will just get out for sale and then use the funds from that to pay for the finishing product for you guys. So this won't be what you guys get. This will just be a seller to get money into the project. Well, I might as well have said, I'm going to break into your house, guys, if it's okay with you, and rape your grandmother anally, from the reaction I got from people. I even had one person, I had one person tell me that if I did that, they would go out of their way not only to support my products, to boycott them and tell other people how bad my products were. It's just like this absolute shit show. All right. So here we are 2 years later, and people are saying, hey, maybe we could just use AR to finish the project and get it out. Backers are saying this. And I said, well, that's an interesting idea. And then the other backers went off. I don't want that. That's bullshit. No, AI is this, the devil. And it's like, okay. So here we are, a project stuck in development hell because people are demanding that I give them something, even though I've been open. I update them every month. I've been transparent about everything that's gone wrong. I've hidden nothing from them because I don't want to be that kind of guy. I want to make sure they know what's happening. And I've literally had people say, yeah, it sucks that this happened to you, but it's not my problem. You're just supposed to deliver a game. It's like, it's a good idea. I should really make sure I don't eat, my cats don't eat, and my apartment I can't pay rent, so I can make sure you get your game, Chuckles.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm just done. I'm so done. So when I originally sat down to design Heroic, I wanted to do something that this is now what this is. But it was what I originally wanted to do. But because I had done a bunch of videos talking about my love for the old Marvel superheroes game, a friend came to me and he said, dude, do Heroic as your favorite clone because it's really good, and I'll help you out, and I'll make sure that the project gets done. You know what? He talked me into it. Vanished. Just... So I'm wound up with this game that I'm finishing that I don't hate. I have no hate of it. But right now, because of the relationship I've had with it for 2 years, I fucking hate it. And I just want it done and in the rearview mirror. And I never want to look at it again. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to deal with it. So that's it. I've given you the story, and now we can move on from there.
Well, it makes sense too. I mean, there's a lot of things people don't quite understand or get about some of this stuff, especially when they're doing their online crusading. For one, and I've kind of, we have some bonus tips for the 7 habits or the 7 keys. Got to be careful there because the 7 habits is trademarked. But some bonus keys. I was always trying to figure out the best way to put it, that at the end of the day, if you're designing a game, you are designing a game. And the more diffuse you get, the more you count on other people, the less likely it is that you're going to get anything done. It is far better to sit down, design your product, and then start bringing in people to break it apart and give you ideas on how to tweak it than it is to try and get somebody to help, just because, like you said, nobody cares about it the way you do. And when you get to the AI thing, I said this a long time ago, back when AI art, a long time ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when AI art first started really coming on the scene. And I said, this is a force multiplier. I said, this is the thing. You want to see the thing that breaks the Wizards of the Coast, a thing that breaks the Paizo's and whatnot, that really allows the smaller creators to break into the market. That's AI. That levels the field for, that is an equalizer between you and a $1 billion company that has an art department, where those people are paid to show up and draw what they're told to draw, and they lose their job to one of the 100 people waiting out the door to take their spot if they don't do it. And you look at something like this, people don't realize this. This is, let's draw some parallels here with this book right here, this Corvid Codex. The way this project came about is I took a bunch of junk. I mean, garbage, just like 6-word AI prompts to generate a bunch of scenes, threw them in a chat, and I got a bunch of people together, and I was like, hey guys, just as a writing exercise, pull one of these garbage pieces of art. You don't even call it art. One of these garbage images, draw a story off of it. And we're going to use this to sharpen our writing skills. And we kind of played around with it. And I was like, you know what? We got good stuff. I'll publish it. What I'll do is when we take your stories, I'll go ahead and get the art for it. I'll go ahead and get everything done. We'll do it right, and we'll publish it. Now, I had 30 or 40 people jump into that Discord server to be part of this. I ended up with maybe 9 or 10 that actually ever wrote anything.
Yeah.
So a whole bunch of people line up to be part of the project, but when it comes time to actually do work, they disappear.
So we used to say,
Go
ahead.
And when it comes to art, all right, there's no AI in this book. Every piece of art in here is done. It's all bespoke. I've shown this stuff before. Pictures from Rob Necronomicon, cover from Patio Cakes. Now, granted, first I sat down with every one of them, made sure they were fully well aware that this is work for hire. I will be the one who owns the rights to this artwork when it's done. The copyright is mine, and that that payment will be payment on delivery. I might do half up front, maybe, but payment on delivery for the same reason you said. A lot of these guys, hey man, here's $200 to do a piece of art, and 6, 8, 10 months later, it's not done.
Yep.
Here's your work in progress, which is like scribbled on the back of a napkin. Doesn't look anything like what you want.
And then now here's the rushed final because I just had to get this out the goddamn door.
Bingo. And when you look at this book, you have 7 of the, I can't seem to flip to find one here, but you have 7 of the title images, right? Including one of them, which is actually just a riff on the cover, so it really doesn't count.
Okay.
And then you have the cover. All right. That's all the art that's in this book. The cost of the art eats the first 200 copies in terms of product. 200 of these have to sell at full retail just to recapture the art budget.
Just to break even.
That doesn't count any, Facebook marketplace advertising where you pay for an ad. That doesn't count any of the stuff where I got people running around going to talk to booksellers and stuff. That doesn't mean Books A Million blesses me by ordering, 500 copies where I make less than 10% of the profit I would on a full retail purchase. It means 200 people go to Lulu and buy this book and it hits my PayPal. I will have paid for just the art. Now imagine 168 pages, 7 pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Go pick up the smallest player's handbook you've got for any game and look at how many pieces of full color or full page artwork are in there, and imagine how much money that costs before you go out and you jump on some one guy in his house making a game for you because he chose to take the time to use, because he chose to use AI just to get a product out. So that's something to think about there.
So my only answer to that is to say, Ave Maria. I'm the choir, buddy. You're preaching to me. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Like,
the only place I have a problem with AI is when people start lying about it. Do not sit here and come to me and tell me that you're not using AI when you are. Don't come to me and tell me that you're going to price your game at $90 a book because of the artwork that's in it when you didn't pay for anything other than like a good subscription to like Nightwish or something to work on it.
Yeah.
Don't come at me with that. That's bullshit. That's basically theft. But at the same time, if I'm telling you, hey man, I use this, that's just somebody being honest with you, to be perfectly honest. It is.
Yeah, I agree. Well, okay, so a couple of things based on what you said. And then some other stuff. STRT. So I'm severely dyslexic. Okay, like I'm very dyslexic. As a result, I've developed over the years what they call diagonal reading habit, which is basically I scan for keywords. Because if I sit down and I read every word, like when I read a novel or something like that, I fall asleep because my brain gets brain fog. Same thing happens when I write, I get brain fog. So I've learned to use the smart tools available to me, ChatGPT, Claude, Grammarly, to get my ideas written. They're still my ideas. They're still my concepts. They're still my edits. They're still my changes. They're still me going and making sure the story makes sense and everything else. So this idea that, oh, it's all AI slop. Well, I got bad news for you, sunshine. There's lots of human-made slop out there. Tons and tons and tons and tons of it. And like anything else, AI-generated or human-generated, there is either going to be talent involved or there's going to be no fucking talent involved. And if the talent is involved, it doesn't matter how it's generated. It will shine through in the final product that this is something of quality. I've written 2 novels. I'm working on my 3rd and a 4th. I'm rewriting one of them. I'm working on those right now. And yes, I'm using AI, but I tell people right up in the author's introduction, right straight. I say, this is why I use it. This is how I do it. If you don't like it, I understand. This book isn't for you. But if you read the book, you might actually enjoy the story and go, oh shit, this is actually pretty good. So again, this I have not made broken even on because of 2 pieces of art that essentially cost me well over $500 at the end of the day for those 2 pieces. This has sold far less copies, and every penny is profit for me. Where's the motivation? Where's the motivation to work with human artists who are going to slow things down, bring their opinions to the page, going to deliver subpar product, going to argue, I'm going to have to chase them, I'm going to have to invest time and money going after them to get what I paid for, what I overpaid for in some cases, and underpaid for in others. But where's the motivation for me? There's none as a publisher. 0 motivation for me to do that. I had one artist I worked with, I won't name him because everybody knows who he is. And I've been a client of his for years. And I said, hey, man, listen, I might have a fantasy game coming up, Valorous. I'd like to get you to do the cover. Well, what kind of cover are you looking for? I said, well, okay, how about this? Would you mind? And I said like this. Would you mind if I generated a mock-up using AI to show you what the idea is? So that way we save time on the back and forth of the pre-work. And then you can just make it your own with your own style and your own look and everything. But you know what I'm looking for without me having to go back and forth. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not really into AI, but yeah, that's fine. Now, he's British. And then he quoted me a price of £3,000 sterling.
Jesus.
Which is about 7,000 Canadian. So basically, I could get Jeff Easley for that price.
Yeah.
I could probably get Larry Elmore for about 1,000 more. And their names carry real weight. You know what I mean?
So you got a Larry Elmore cover, you're going to sell copies just off of that.
Just off of that. So this is literally the problem we have right now is that these fucking people aren't businessmen, they're artists. I worked in the film industry for over 20 years, and I can tell you one thing. There are artists, performing artists, musicians, visual artists, sculptors. My aunt's a porcelain artist, does very well for herself, who understand business, and they do the best they can with it. And then there's all the little theater kids and performing school artists who don't understand business at all and think that money should just fall out of heaven into their little waiting hands.
Oh,
fuck them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and they're a nightmare. And then Shellback's got a good point here too. Troll Lord probably has a lot to say about this, though I doubt they will. I think they try to keep it as quiet as they can. Tried to kind of brush it under the rug after they quote unquote fixed it. But he goes, "Yep, art is definitely a money sink, and you have to make sure that you don't get the low quality AI artists who use AI to generate the base and then essentially fill in the color." Well, look at what happened to Troll Lord. They had a very well established artist with a name recognition who had been a professional for years, who has a body of work to back up the worth of his work. And what did they catch? And actually, unfortunately, they didn't catch it because they trusted him too much. What did people catch when they started releasing teaser images for some of their Castles and Crusade stuff? He went and used AI to do 90% of his work for him to make it go faster. And he didn't clean it up very well.
Yep.
You had, axes with heads pointing in goofy directions, weird layouts, backwards feet, bowstrings that disappeared through people's arms and stuff like that. And this is from a very well-established professional artist who just decided, he's like, you know what? I can still charge my normal rate, but I can do 3 times as much work if I just basically sub out a lot of my effort and talent into AI to start my process. And then he didn't do what was necessary on the back end, ended up having to do it all again. But that he took advantage of a company that he'd worked with before that trusted him.
Yep.
And basically trafficked on his prior work and still sold the same garbage. And then that's to say nothing of Wizards of the Coast and all the crap that filtered into their books. And it's here. Be cheaper and faster if I were to go to art school myself, draw my own art instead of hiring some of those folks. And that is absolutely 100% true. There are a lot of them out there. There's a lot of them out there that are very reasonable. I cannot complain about what I paid Rob and what I paid Patty. They both did, I got way more than what I paid for out of both of them. But for every Rob and every Patty that I've worked with in my life, there's 15 people who want, $1,500 for something they doodled in the back of their notebook, or $800 for a character headshot, and that half-ass everything. And this is not a knock on digital art, because most art is digital these days, but not that they use digital art, but they essentially use digital generation tools, not AI necessarily, but digital generation to make like the generic anime person. And that's what they make. And it's the same thing with some clothing swaps and a couple of little tweaks on every single thing they do. It's like you look at their portfolio and it's like, oh, here's the full body portraits. Everybody standing in the same position.
Yep. Anyway, listen, the point is this, is that Mr. Max Boivin, I agree. It makes no sense that artists should acquire 2/3 of your budget. They like, why do they deserve so much of them? Because they can do this? Well, now we have something, we don't need them anymore. And that's the problem. So what do? Instead of they argue, they fight, whatever. Let's not talk about this, because this is a road we'll never stop going down. Let's talk about other fun stuff.
Absolutely. Give me 1 second, because I'm only seeing like half.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to grab a quick drink and I'll be right back. It'll be 2 seconds.
All right. Sorry about that. I had to, I think I missed something there, because I had to pull the chat up, because unfortunately I'm missing guys like Knowing a Consequence, for instance, Steve Kennedy. A lot of you guys, I don't know why, but for whatever reason, the chat, like StreamYard, is not pulling over every single person who chats in my live stream chat. So I've had to do the old pull it up separate in a different window thing so that I can actually catch people who are talking. Make sure I get everybody there. But yeah, absolutely. Let's move on there. So as just for the folks who maybe have not been here before, a quick breakdown on what my definition of, and Robbie, that may be correct. It may be using the top chat instead of the instead of the live chat feature, which is a pain in the butt. I have no idea how to change that in StreamYard. So I'm gonna have to do some a little bit of flip flopping just because I want to try and make sure I don't miss anything that is relevant to the conversation or of merit to speak on. But that may be it. It may be that it just pulls over that. Though, to be honest with you, I had some people who like gave me the jewels or the trophies that come up on mobile last time, and actually even had a super chat, and the super chat didn't show up on StreamYard. And I'm like, yeah, I definitely don't want to miss somebody who pays me to get my attention. I mean, come on now. Do you have any idea how expensive it is to build and give away a car? I haven't even got enough money to get the Dodge Dart down here from New York yet, from what I make off YouTube. So I sure don't want to miss somebody who's nice enough to throw $5 my way. But I will be flipping back over there every so often just to check that to make sure. Yes, I can definitely drop Bear's link if Bear can mind dropping
at Bear the Gen X GM, all one word. Pretty easy. Let me grab it for you. Make your life easier.
Yeah, you can throw it in the private chat, and I should be able to pull that up. Or you actually might be able to post it in there. I don't think I have anything stopping you from throwing it in the chat.
There you go. So just put youtube.com/Bear the Gen X GM, and you'll find my channel right quick. But I'll give you the link. Hang on just a second. Give me a second. There we go. And I'll just go ahead and grab that.
Let's see if that works.
Chat. Yeah, there it is. Perfect. Yep, that's it. And I can't type it as an actual link in your chat, sadly, but it's in private chat with the HTTP and all that other fun stuff.
Yeah, there you go. It's got the WW and everything.
I'm literally 100 and hang on, so that'd be 400. What's 100 minus 16? That'd be 90, 80, 84. I'm 184 subs away from being able to monetize the channel. I used to have the channel was 2,500 subs, monetized for years. And then I just got tired of all the bullshit and I nuked it. And people were like, how could you nuke your channel? I do regret one thing. I lost all the interviews I did with like Larry Elmore and Steve Winter and Jeff Grubb and all those guys. I really regret losing those. We did find the Tim Kask one. That's back up. So that's great. Rest in peace, Tim. But I just got so tired of the pieces of human filth that would wander into the channel. Because once I got over 1,000, I started noticing it went from being this nice, tight little community we had to just randos coming in and being pieces of shit to each other. So my goal now is to get the channel monetized again, which at 500 I can. And once that's done, we can go back to having fun with like super chats and all that stuff, and we can do all the stuff we used to do. But I don't want a 2,500, 4,000, 10,000. I don't want that because, man, it just so many headaches come along with that bullshit. And it's exhausting because on the one hand, you think, well, I'm publishing, so I have to be nice to people. Like, I'm fucking done. I'm done. I literally wrote an article and made a video recording of it that I call The Age of the Anti, which is me talking about all these anti-this, anti-that, and specifically anti-AI. And I speak about it because it affects me. It's part of my publishing. And I got some hate on it. And then I had one of my patrons go, stick to RPGs and not politics. And if you listen to it's not political. It's very nuanced. It's very down the middle, right? Stick to your RPGs, not politics, to which I answered no. I just went, no. And the guy fucking canceled his patron. He'd been a patron. He'd been a patron of mine for like 2 years. He goes ahead and cancels in a huffy little fit. These are the people I don't want in my world. I don't want people who can't fucking respect the opinion. The Patreon is you backing me to create and be me. Yep. So if I have a take on something, especially something that affects my publishing, don't fucking tell me not to talk about it. Get fucked. Your $10 a month that you were giving me is not going to make the difference in my world. And if that's what it requires, you think because you give me $10 a month, I'm your bitch? You fuck right off.
And that is kind of like there is an arrogance to that, which on one hand, you're like, hey, look, I appreciate every single person who does a membership, who is on a Patreon, who sends a super chat. It's absolutely 100% appreciated across the board. I appreciate you putting your money where your mouth is to support. But at the same time, let's talk about the supreme arrogance of $2.99 a month means I get to tell you how you think, feel, and what you put on here. It's like, you know what? I'm going to say what I want to say. And if you don't want to support me anymore, there's a button that says you don't have to give me your $3 anymore, and I will have to buy my own Red Bull.
Now, listen, I respect the guy for making his choice and canceling the patronage. I get it. It's okay. But the idea that you think you have that kind of access to me and you can tell me how to live my life and what I can and cannot talk about for your little fucking contribution is absolutely absurd. You give me the money, I produce product, and I produce a lot of product. My Patreon has at least now 3 posts a week. It used to have 2 posts a day for over a year. You can't be a member of my Patreon for 1 month for $5 and go through the entire back catalog. You wouldn't have enough time to do so. There's literally thousands of posts, characters, adventures, rule sets, playtest rules, lore, more lore than you could shake a stick at. If you want to run a superhero game or a fantasy game, come on over to my Patreon. There's tons of stuff for you to mine there. So if I'm giving you all that, and then once in a blue moon, I have an opinion about something, and you think that suddenly requires you to flag it, get fucked. The door's that way. Don't let the knob hit you in the arse. See you later, buddy.
Yeah, you don't want to end up like Condor and having something you got to clean off your door.
I say nothing.
Now, the Dirty Bird got mentioned earlier, just so you're aware. I can't remember who had said it, but somebody said that you were their favorite Canadian, and that their second favorite was
he hated me for a very long time. Now he was trying to get me on the show and shit like that, and I'm like, no, because he owes me an apology. Because he literally went off, made a video about me. It was literally implied in the video he could take me in a fight. That was my favorite part. Like, I'm not saying size means everything, but I'm 6'3". I was a bodyguard. I was a bouncer. I'm a trained martial artist. You come fucking try me, son. Even at my age, I'll put you in the hospital. I might go right beside you. I might be in the bed right next to you, but you'll be there. So this idea that
my own hand.
Or I'm old and I popped this fucking disc or something. But the point is that this guy basically implied he could take me in a fight, said he could referee circles, GM circles. He was just really aggressive. And I'm like, why the fuck is this guy coming at me? Like, I've never said anything bad about him, really. I don't know what the fuck he's on about. So I made a reply video where I watched his video and agreed with every point he made. And then, that was that. And he didn't like that either. So,
here's the funny thing is, like, I will say this. You will never ever knock his teeth out. Anyway, that's enough busting on him. So let's talk a little bit of game design here, because we are coming up on actually needing to talk about some game design.
Let's do it.
So the definition of success, when I say a successful game designer, when I say successful TTRPG design, for those of you who have not seen any of the video series or who have not been here on one of these streams before, when I call something a successful game design, I'm not talking about they sold a bunch of copies. I'm not talking about they had $1 million Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. I am speaking of finishing a game that does what it is supposed to do and is a complete product. Mm-hmm. So when you say is like, for instance, is Heroic 5e a successful game? It most certainly is. It is a complete product. It is of quality, and the system works. It has been play tested. If you sit down to play the game, are you going to get a superhero experience that is 5e adjacent? Yes, you are. This is a successful game. In a lot of cases, you can have, like, for instance, I would say Draw Steel is not a successful game. It's made a lot of money. It really has, but I'd say it's not a successful game. Why? Because it still isn't finished. Mm-hmm. He still hasn't really, and it kind of only, it's like a bad mismatch of 4E that rides off of Matt Colville's YouTube fame. That's all it is. To me, that's not a successful game design, despite the fact that it made all this money. And part of that is because you can look at some of the design philosophy behind it. And the design philosophy was, I like 4E. I want to put a few pieces of it together, and then I want to get people to sign up for it on Patreon. And I want to cater to certain demographics within the gaming community to get, basically to give them a hot button. It wasn't, hey, here's a fantasy game. What is fantasy supposed to reflect? How can I make fantasy work? It was, what are the hot button issues in the community and the online space? How can I push those to get these people to give me money? And when you play the game, it's like, well, it pushes hot buttons, but it doesn't actually function well at the table. At least not the last time I saw any of the breakdown of, you can listen to him talk. You can listen to Matt Colville talk about Draw Steel, and you can hear the flaws in the system right off the bat, where it's like, oh, people don't like the initiative order. So we're going to take, this is jumping away from Draw Steel, but take in Daggerheart, for instance, which is another one that I think is not necessarily a successful game. Candela Obscura certainly was not successful. Why? Look at it. It's like, oh, well, people don't like initiative. Initiative interferes with some of the narrative or something, so we're just going to take it out. But now you have something that mechanically just kind of is everybody jump in and say something all at one time, and it may emulate the chaos of combat, but it also turns villains into a houseplant until the players screw up enough to give them something to do. And that is not realistic at all. I mean, I've never, maybe if you're trying to emulate Dragon Ball Z, where the bad guy is super powerful and he just sits there and lets them punch him for 5 minutes so that he can turn around and say, I'm too powerful for you to hurt, and then hit him right back. That's the only thing it really emulates. Bear has a similar experience to me. I was a kickboxer and a mixed martial artist. I've held belts and I've been ranked in 5 different martial arts. And I've never once been in a sparring match, never once been in a fight, never once been in a street fight, in an encounter, bouncing at a show or a bar or working security, or in a professional bout where my opponent sat there until I screwed up to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He just let me throw kicks and punches and just knock the shit out of him until I finally screwed something up. And then he's like, it's my turn to move. That's not how combat looks.
Falcon punch! Exactly. Yeah, no.
So,
but again, it's a different beast. Listen, if a fight goes more than 30 seconds, you both lost. And that's just reality.
And I would disagree with that.
I have fought so much in my life, brother. If a fight goes more than 30 seconds, you both lost.
I'd agree with you in the real world.
So in the real world, I mean in a fucking sparring or in a tournament. That's a whole other beast. Yeah. I mean in a real fucking fight. And that's the other problem. A lot of RPG designers out there designing fight systems who have never thrown a punch in their fucking life. It's like, everyone gave me shit. Not shit, but I got a bit of shit because all the defenses in here. So this is a game that uses active defense, right? It's all player-faced rolling. GM rolls nothing. You can if you want, but you shouldn't have to. You give them a number, they roll against it. But every defense has, every physical defense for the most part has perception, because I added 2 stats. I added fighting and I had perception. Perception is added to your defense, dex and perception. Fighting for parry block and perception. People are like, why are you adding perception? Because when you've been in real fights, you know that if you don't see the punch coming, you can't defend against the punch coming. That's what a blindside is, and it hurts way more because you weren't ready for it, and it boom, suddenly your ear's ringing and blood's coming out of your ear because the guy fucking cauliflowered you perfectly in the side of the head. So I add that in. I think a lot of people have a Hollywood mentality about what they think fighting is, and if you're doing a cinematic game that's all about that type of stuff, brilliant, have a great time, do your John Wick bullshit. Have a grand old fucking time. But if you want something to seem just a little bit more realistic or have a little bit of verisimilitude to it or just feel like it's not the same God stat bullshit over and over again, talk to people who fought. Talk to people who've been in those situations. Talk to soldiers who've been in combat. They're all out there willing to talk to you and learn from them. Learn from what they say. If you're not the person that's been in that situation, learn from those who have. One of the best things about Cyberpunk, the original Cyberpunk box set back here, is the Friday Night Firefight book. It is fucking amazing. And if you read it, you know what Pondsmith did. He went and he pulled FBI gunfight statistics and then analyzed them and saw that if a moving target's moving, 50+% chance of not being fucking hit because the moving target's the hardest thing to hit, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, according to all these ballistics experts and people who fucking fire guns for a living. You know what I mean? And that made it one of the best things. And what did he do? He added in a cinematic dodge, which he took out in 2020 and never brought back, which was bullshit. And I loved it in the original, which is I roll to hit you, you roll to avoid being fucking hit. Hey, what a great system, back and forth. Now everybody just sitting there waiting to find out the result. Ooh, what up? I'm active. I'm in here. So I use player-facing roles because I want my players doing stuff. I don't want them being bored. I don't want them sitting around going, check my phone because everybody. No, I want them involved and rolling. Oh, he's trying to hit me. Oh my fuck! I got to defend myself. You know.
Absolutely.
And this is the thing. A lot of GMs say, "Oh, what do you mean I don't get to roll dice? I'm a player too." Well, no, you're a player who's GMing is what you are at that point in time. If you're like me, a forever GM, you understand how you play the game. You play the game through creating the scenarios. You play a game through the reactions of the NPCs, by the X factors that come in to throw the players off their game, the little surprises you throw at them, the little surprises they throw at you that you have to react to and then make it feel right and not just like, well, fuck them. The ogre wins anyway. No, that is how we are players. Now, if you want to just roll dice, that's fine. I'm not judging you for it, but don't act like I've created some crime by not giving the GM dice to roll.
Well, it also gives the GM it's also an aid to the GM. If you look at, when speaking about Cyberpunk also kind of introduced, at least as far as I'm aware, the concept of combat numbers for most random, regular enemies, where it's like, yeah, you might have a character, like if you have like a high level NPC or something, he may have PC stats, but if you have random street ganger 5, like he has combat number 5, or he has combat number 15, and 15 is what he adds. 15 is what you need to, what he's going to get on his evasions and everything. Exactly. It's like,
okay.
And for a game master, I don't have to memorize the stat block anymore. I don't have to go study a monster manual to throw these mooks out there.
Yeah, no, exactly. But here, this is the thing I did here, is basically PCs are built as full characters from the ground up. NPCs are built like monster blocks. They have numbers. They're not adhering to the same build rules you are as a PC, but they also don't get better. They don't become more powerful. They don't grow from experience. They're all, Thunderman as an opponent is going to be the same Thunderman at level 1 you fight as level 10, unless somewhere in the story something made Thunderman more powerful. Otherwise, he's going to stay the same. Why? Because it's not about fucking Thunderman. It's about the players. It's about their characters and what they're fucking doing. And this is just like such basic shit that I constantly find myself having to argue about with people in gaming that just refuse to see it. And I don't think the OSR helps. And I'll explain why, because there are some really great people in the OSR and some great designers. But you hear them all talk, and they all say, I don't want a fucking video game. They love to shit on 5e and say, 5e is a video game. It's a superhero. It's not a superhero game. Stop your nonsense. I've killed tons of fucking parties in 5e over the years. It's easy to kill characters in 5e. Stop acting like it's on fucking easy mode. And it's not super heroic. It's heroic, but it's not super heroic. But they say all of that. Okay, you don't want any of those things. Got it. Then they watch my live plays. Shauner used to be famous for this, where they don't like that my NPCs talk and have personalities and interact with the characters and don't just have a glowing exclamation point above their head and just give out quest information.
And
so you don't want video games, but you want NPCs to act like video games. You want the leveling up to be like a video game. You want to be able to carry all the stuff in magical inventory slots that fill up eventually, but for the most part, I got a trebuchet with me. It fit my thing. You want all of that. But you don't want video games. I think you do want video games, and you're just embarrassed to admit it. And go play fucking video games and let the role-playing be role-playing, because it's not spelled R-O-L-L. Never has been. It's always been R-O-L-E. And that is a very important fucking thing. Miniatures games, battle games, skirmish games, whole other beast. Role-playing games, it's about the role-playing, son. That's just what it is at the end of the day. And I get so much hate for that. And I get so many people, Barry didn't know what the fuck he's talking about. All right, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. All right, you win. Congratulations. Here's a tip. Don't watch my videos.
There you go. Don't play at my table, which can solve a lot of the problems that the community has in the first place, is learning to not play at the table. You're not entitled to have your kind of game at every single table.
Not every player is for every table, and not every table is for every player. That's just the way it is.
Now, you brought up Cyberpunk, which I was actually going to bring up 2020, because it is kind of a great reflection of some of those realities of combat we spoke about, because the whole system was that you had both. You had true realism and you had the John Wick Matrix style combat. How? Because if I just stood still and took good, carefully aimed shots, I was going to shoot people and the fight was going to be over with whoever got the shot first. Because if you weren't moving, if you weren't trying to jump over a table and pull out 2 guns and shoot them in one in each hand and stuff like that, you weren't going to miss because you were shooting with like a plus 20.
Sure.
But if you missed, or if there was another bad guy, you were dead because you were standing out there shooting a gun, sitting still, making a great target. So if you wanted realism, yeah, you can sit there and take 1 or 2 shots and the fight's over in 3 seconds, and you might be dead, they might be dead, you both might be dead, or you might both be seriously injured. Or you can do the cinematic combat of running, jumping, sliding, hiding, spinning around things, trying to shoot multiple guns at one time. And it's possible, but the combat lasts longer and has more stuff in it, and it's, like you said, more cinematic. But you had a system that was elegantly designed in the interlock system that gave you that. It gave you the possibility of cinematic, and it gave you the definitive reality of, if you stand still in a firefight, there's the old move adage. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever heard that in the firearms community. Move, M-O-V-E. Motionless operators ventilate easily. Yes. If you are not moving, you will get shot. You will have holes in you. You will be ventilated and you will die.
If you are not moving, the person shooting at you is not doing snapshots. They are literally able to take the time to aim. And aim is brutal, my friends. It is very, very brutal, and that's how games should work. Aim should abso-fucking-lutely deliver for the player.
Absolutely.
If they can take, and even if they're exposing themselves or they're using cover, all those things should matter. And the original Friday Night Firefight really did that well. They did some stuff I didn't like in 2020. Like they took out the active defense. They added hit points, which I fucking hated. I love the old body wound chart. Whoop! Oh, that was a serious wound. There you go. Fuck you. I love that shit. But that's fine. That's fine. Red, I haven't played enough of or even read enough of to have opinions on. But the thing is that good game design is good game design. And good game design can make the difference in a game. If you're playing bad game design, well, it doesn't matter. You might be having fun. You might be laughing. But every time you guys got to start rolling dice, you're going to be like, oh, fuck, do we have to do this?
Damn it.
All right, fine. And that's just the beast.
That is, like you said, it's absolutely the nature of the beast. And that kind of brings us to what the topic of the conversation for the evening is. We've kind of danced around this a little bit, especially with the combat situation. There is the 5th key to the to effective TTRPG design is that you must know that the feel is more important than the real. Understanding the idea that if I'm going to emulate something in my game, be it combat, be it mystery, be it the, discovering something, interrogating somebody, be it a fantasy game or a cyberpunk game, you can do this macro or micro level. It is far more important that your system, that your rules, that the decisions you make in design emulate the feeling that you have being in those situations as a player, rather than emulate the nuts and bolts of the way the world works. The way the world works in real life. You don't want to roll 500 different minor little things that dictate whether or not a punch actually lands or lands flush, and have a 70-minute action in a single combat. You want combat to be dirty and chaotic and forgetting what you did last round because everything's going all over the place, because that's what a fight's like.
Yeah.
And the same thing, you go into the macro level. If I'm making a cyberpunk game, I don't want different design elements that make me feel like I'm invincible or make me feel like I'm getting ahead. I don't want mechanics in the game that have to do with the economy that make it easier for me to go buy things, that make it where I'm getting ahead. Like, you don't want it to be like D&D where all of a sudden the players are bringing back wagon loads of gold and now they're richer than small countries. Because cyberpunk is supposed to be desperate and scraping by and fighting out of the gutter. So same in opposite with fantasy. You want to have the ability to have heroic moments. You want to be able to stand up to the dragon. In cyberpunk or in any kind of gritty setting like that, the dragon should kill you every single time. In fantasy, you should be able to fight the dragon, and that should influence your mechanical decisions. So, in your design, where does that play in, or does it play in directly, or is it anything you even consciously thought about?
Okay. Let me just find something I want to read to you that I wrote, which is very important. What is this game? Heroic 5e is not a simulation of comic books. It is a role-playing game about superheroes. That distinction matters more than it may initially seem. Comic books are carefully constructed illusions. They are built through the collaboration of writers, artists, editors, colorists, and continuity departments, backed by decades of evolving narrative shorthand. A comic can pause time for a dramatic splash page. A hero survives impossible punishment because the story demands it. A villain escapes because the next arc requires it. Entire scenes exist because the writer already knew the ending before the first panel was drawn. A role-playing game does not work that way. In a role-playing game, the story is alive while it is happening. Players are not readers turning pages. They are participants making choices in real time, often without certainty, perfect information, or narrative safety nets. The GM is not an editorial department overseeing continuity from above. They are reacting, adapting, improvising, and building the world alongside players moment by moment. Dice create uncertainty, consequences emerge naturally, victories are earned rather than scripted. Every fucking superhero game on the market tells you how it's a comic book emulator. You're going to get to do your comic book, and we're going to call the GM an editor, and actions are going to be called panels, and fights are going to be called pages, and blah, blah, blah. And as such, they all fail on some level because they're not able to have the narrative control, the editorial excess that a comic book has. So I would rather write a game that's about the emergent story that you're playing together and have the rules support those types of characters rather than a genre theme of a completely different medium. Now, I live in Montreal, which is the home of Marshall McLuhan, and Marshall McLuhan always said the medium is the message. The only writer I've ever seen who fully understood that was Douglas Adams. That's why the radio play, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the book, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the TV show, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and the movie, he died before it was finished, but he wrote the script for it, all changed the story as necessary for the medium. Role-playing games is a medium. It is emergent storytelling together. Therefore, the rules need to respect that over everything else. Once you have that respect in, you can then start flavoring it for the style, the genre, what you're doing at that point in time. And a lot of game designers fail at that because they think they're telling a novel. They think they're writing a game where you're going to play a movie. And it's like, it's not going to work. You're going to run into problems. And it's going to piss players off eventually. So always, 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 when you write from the point of view that you are in emergent storytelling. The mechanics need to support that.
Absolutely. Just a fun little aside there. I know another writer who very much understood that. And nobody here is going to be surprised by this, but that's Tolkien.
Absolutely.
J.R.R. Tolkien was militant about movie adaptations and stuff like that. He was never satisfied. He hated the idea of it. He kind of got strong-armed into it a couple of times and was very unsatisfied every time it was done. Even with like the Bakshi and the various different animated series, attempts. But he said it very well. He was like, what he wrote was written as a novel. It was written as a mythology and a story. Yeah. And he very clearly stated in more than one of his letters that as a medium, film was wholly inadequate to deliver that story the way it needed to be done. It would have to be completely rewritten and thus no longer be Lord of the Rings anymore. And that's kind of the same thing here, is that you have to understand your medium. You have to understand how it works. And those game mechanics have to be designed to, like you said, you have to influence that emergent story. You have to, it has to be based on the idea that everything is going to come from player decisions.
Yeah.
And then you guide those decisions, like you said, to flavor your genre and whatnot. When you say, okay, it's fantasy, what are the elements? What elements should emerge? What style or type of elements should emerge from these player decisions? Now I can set up my action, resolution, consequence understanding that the action is always going to be started by the players and started by the people playing the game. I need to make sure that the resolution mechanics feel natural, and I need to make sure that the consequences interact. The consequences cause the correct story to emerge. And when I say correct, I don't mean I'm an author, I'm sitting here trying to force you into my story and railroad, that sort of thing. I'm saying it needs to be, if I'm doing a superhero game, it needs to feel like Superman, X-Men. It needs to feel like I'm fighting Doctor Doom, not like I'm fighting Professor Moriarty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the things, I think D&D fails miserably as a system at emulating the story type, the medium type it is. If I shove 3 feet of steel through you, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're either dead now, or the toxins that got released into your abdomen from me clipping certain organs are going to kill you. And of course, in D&D, that never happens. You know what I mean? In D&D, once you get past a certain level, you can beat on a guy with a sword for 10 minutes. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. In a superhero game, 3 feet of steel through you shouldn't kill you unless it's a story point. It's a key moment in the game. It's a key moment in the emerging narrative. And then you need to have that. So I have rules for that. I have absolutely lethal rules put in as when someone goes for a kill shot and they're using something that does lethal damage, here's the rules around that. Otherwise, throwing a superhero off a 3-story building shouldn't kill him. Fuck him up, but it shouldn't kill him. Throwing Lois Lane off a 3-story building will kill her. And you need to separate these things. So you can't have rules that blanket everything, because then there are going to be exceptional cases where you're going to have to worry about those rules because they break the verisimilitude, they break the emergent storytelling. This is the greatest hobby that has ever existed, in my opinion. Role-playing games. That's why I've started using TTRPG, just because it's now the fucking portmanteau. But it's why RPGs, role-playing games, they used to call them CRPGs. Now they call those the RPGs, and people will go, "Oh, it's a video game." No, it's not. But anyway, role-playing games is the one chance we all have to make collective mythology together. Be it stories about our stupid street edge runners making a heist, or, our version of the Justice League saving the planet from, sun god Jones, who's come to eat everything. This is the point of all of this, is that we are making mythology together. Some people, players and GMs, have the wrong attitude, and I will say it going into it, that it's a competition, that it's a stress test of how good they are, how smart they are. My favorite expression, it's not on the character sheet, man, it's in your head. Well, I'm not a 5th level spellcaster, so it's 100% on my character sheet, because I don't cast spells. So these blanket terms, these endurance tests, these "I'm a man because" declarations, they aggravate the living shit out of me, because they're pointless and stupid. And stop beating your fucking chest like a chimp and play the goddamn game and have fun. You know what? It's okay for your character to fail once in a while. It's okay to have a setback that then causes you to have to double down, regroup, and come back harder to earn that fucking victory. And I think both generations have a problem with that. I think the OSR, the NSR, or whatever you want to call them, the older players, the newer players, they both have issue with failure. The new ones don't want to do it because they were raised and every fart they had was given a medal, and every thought that came out of their head was cherished like philosophy from on high. And the older players don't want to do it because they've soaked their ego into how good they are at it sometimes. And these aren't not everybody. These are just blanket generalizations. So if everybody starts taking a piece out of my ass, think critically for a second, right? I'm using generalizations because that's how we do things. So if we look at that, and then we look at our game system, you must clearly, as a game writer, lay it out for them so they know. They've read the rules. They know what's going to happen or what potentially can happen. That brings me to the player responsibility over the game designer's responsibility, which is the player's responsibility and the GM's is system mastery. Learn the fucking rules. And at the very least, learn what your character can do within those rules. And you will have a great time. The stories will be more fun. You'll have more jokes and laughs and classic moments that you talk about, because you weren't fighting the rules and then going, "It's a shit game." Is it a shit game, or are you just not a committed player at this point in time? And you need to reassess how you engage with that game. Maybe you need to go play something rules light which you can get your brain around and have more fun. No fucking shame in that. I like medium crunch. I know you love 3.5, so you love mega crunch. And that's fine. Both are great. Both deliver a different experience.
Yep.
Figure out which experience works for you. Find the writers who create the games you like. Find the GMs who run the games you like, or find the players who like the way you run your games, and you will have a blast. But if you keep trying to put a square peg in a round hole, all you're eventually going to do is splinter shit and maybe get one in your thumb that you got to go to the hospital to have taken out. So fucking calm down. It's not an endurance test. It's not a measure of who you are as a human. Please.
You can tell who's from Canada here because he just talked about going to the hospital to have a splinter pulled out. Here in the U.S., that means I'm going to be fighting with my insurance company for a while to get that pulled out. He's just going to have to wait for 6 years.
No, yeah, I'm going to have to wait for 6 years. And they might also say, have you thought about suicide?
It's like you could chop that thumb off.
Or, alternately, have you thought about medically assisted suicide? It's just an option we're throwing on the table. Dude, I got a splinter. I know, but here's the option.
Welcome it wouldn't hurt anymore.
I was fighting with the government recently over benefits because the company I went for went bankrupt. And I finally, when I was handing in my appeal papers, which they finally approved, thank God, I remember I was talking to the lady at the government office, and she laughed. Good nature for her. She's a bit older than me. And I said, well, if this doesn't work, I guess maid's always an option. Medical assistance in dying is what they call it, right? So I guess maid's always an option. To her credit, she laughed. And I was like, all right, this lady's kind of cool. She's got a head on her shoulders, right? But that's the thing. It's just play the games that work for you, man. Stop trying to make something into something it isn't. I don't play D&D because D&D isn't what I want. Therefore, every now and then it's like McDonald's. I get the craving. I want to go have that fucking D&D. But just like McDonald's, after I'm done, it sits in my stomach like a rock, and I go, what the fuck is that?
And I get the feeling you're talking about all the D&Ds. Basic, AD&D, second edition.
I do love BXOSC. Absolutely do love it. I think it's the best of all the D&Ds. It has room for growth. You can bolt things on. You can take things off. One of the problems with 5th edition and also 3rd edition and certainly 4th edition, which I didn't hate, they all have that. My favorite line from Buckaroo Banzai, no, don't tug on that. You never know what it's connected to. And that's one of the things you find in these over-designed games now is that you change one thing and 3 levels later it causes a cascade failure because you change this one little thing. So I prefer games where you have a little more freedom to play. For design, I like games that give you very clear rules, very clear, do this, here are your options, but I'm also big about options. One of the things, like we talked about this before, one of the things I made absolutely sure in this was that character creation needed to answer who, what, where, when, why, and how. If you couldn't answer those questions in character creation, you need to go back to how your character creation works and take another look at it because you're missing some important stuff the players are going to need. Who they are, what they do, where they are, when it's happening, and how they do it, and why they're doing it. If you don't answer those questions in character creation, your game may have gaps. And then the gaps is where we get the nerd arguments, that just drive me crazy.
Oh, come on. The nerd arguments are fun.
Not when you're 56, man. You've had enough of them in your life.
Some of us are just contrarians by nature.
I've been accused of that.
Bad arguments. I get sick of the really terrible, lack of abductive reasoning. Something you touched on a little bit here earlier. One of the ones that pisses me off the most is you have to stop in the middle of your argument to explain to people that you're speaking in generalities, that we're making a comment that applies to the bulk, and that you dragging up some 0.2% example does not somehow invalidate that. That to me is the thing that irritates me. It's like, do not I want to make a rule, and I think this is the same in game design. I want to make a rule that covers the broad majority, and then I want to leave the game master up to handle the edge cases. I look at the bell curve. I want the game master to be here while the rules are here.
Yeah.
And that's what a game master is here for. The game master is here. The benefit we have over computer games and over video games is that we have the ability to have that human reason to make that situational decision in the real time without having to have some crazy computer program in there to do it.
Yeah.
So but that's for the edge cases. We need this to be consistent so that everybody knows the baseline we're coming from. And it gets real annoying when you're talking about this and everybody wants to come argue this.
Well, nerds love to argue, man.
That's true. Though I did get somebody who told me that I was just being arrogant and trying to show how smart I was because nobody uses words like abductive reasoning ever when I mentioned that somebody needed to use some abductive reasoning.
Well,
and it's like, I'm sorry, I didn't know 6th grade words were a problem these days.
They are. Aren't you paying attention? They are
True.
100% a problem.
True. I mean, going back to this right here, one of the major discussions, I got one of my writers as an engineer, and then there's me, who you can imagine what I'm like. And one of the big things that we had to sit there and speak about was we had our first drafts, and we were doing some assessments on them, and it's like, well, what's the reading level on this? Oh, 17.2. What's the reading on this one? Oh, 14.6. It's like, all right, we have got to dumb this down. We cannot put out 2 stories that are written at like a master's dissertation level and expect anybody to be able to read them.
Yeah, well, people are crazy, man. What are you going to do? People, like, we live in a world that is just, lost all of its meaning. And, we design for the stupidest person in the room, or we write for the stupidest person in the room. We do everybody a disservice. There used to be a time when we wrote for the smartest person in the room. We wrote for the best, most cognitive person in the room, and everybody else had to catch the fuck up. Now, we'll write for the dumb person, and then the smart people drift away because they're bored.
Yep.
It's not interesting anymore.
By the way, Chubby Funster is in the house, and he apparently has never heard of Condor.
Good for him. Stay that way. Keep those virgin ears, my friend.
You are much, much happier in life. Trust me. However, apparently, according to Shell, good old Shellback, Chubby won. Condor won.
What, the beard off? Yeah, well, all right, good for him.
Congratulations. He finally won something.
Well, I'd say nothing.
So there's a fun question for you. And this is something you touched on. I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. How do you feel about I guess how do you feel about is probably not the best way to ask this. Do you think it is necessary or that it is desirable to include, when you write a game book, you're putting out a game, to include those, I guess you could call them generic definitions? What is a role-playing game? How is this supposed to function? What is the general, what in a very broad scope, what is an example of play? Do you feel that these are things that are necessary to be in the book?
Just like narrative fiction in the book, I don't feel it is necessary at this point because I'm an indie publisher. Anybody who's going to buy my stuff is already a role player and they know what's going on. If I was producing something to go on the shelves at Target or Walmart or Barnes & Noble or whatever, that's a different story because I'm trying to attract an audience that doesn't know what this stuff is or has only heard about it and is curious about it now. So I want to put that stuff in there. But as an indie writer who's publishing on TTRPG, no, I don't feel a need to do that. It just takes up space. You don't need to take up that space with that stuff. So, that's how I feel about that.
And not a bad way to go about it. That's one that I've had kind of a back and forth about more than once. Because in a way, I kind of look at it where I'm like, I want anybody who picks up my book to understand how to play the game and to understand what it is. I always want to write with the idea that the person who picked it up has never heard of a dungeon or a dragon in their life.
Sure. That's the Stan Lee mentality of writing, right? Every comic is somebody's first comic. So you have to recap, you have to repeat, you have to explain everything. Problem is if you go back as an experienced comic reader and you read that stuff, you go, hey, this is so baby, this is so fucking kids for children. It's ugh. So there's going to have to be different levels to approach it. Like, for example, I'm not going to release an album and have to explain in the liner notes what music is. Right? Like, I'm not going to have to do that. For a board game, absolutely, I need to explain how the game works. But do I need to explain this is a board game? It uses a tableau and pieces and no, I don't have to do that, right? So if I'm writing something that's an introduction to role playing, abso-fucking-lutely. If I'm writing something like I do, which is just for consumption by people who are role players, no, I'm not going to waste the page space or insult their intelligence by doing so. I'm going to presume they're smart enough to figure it out as they read.
Fair enough. So you would dedicate that space maybe to explaining how your game is supposed to go in opposition to the standard.
Well, what I do with all my introductions is explain what the game is about, right? What the design philosophy is, why I'm doing this, what's the point of doing this. So that way they have an understanding in their head as they're reading the rules, what influenced my decision making. That to me is far more valuable, I think. This little thing I do after I make a point is me going, it's not meant to be arrogant. It's meant to be, whatever you think is fine. This is just what I think, right?
Trust me, I had a friend for a very long time that used to always repeat themselves because I had this habit of they'd say something, and go, huh. And it was, huh, as in like, oh, that's interesting. Not huh, as in, I didn't hear you. Can you say it again?
Well, you guys use huh. So just off topic, one thing Americans, you're making Canadian jokes at the start or Canadian conference, you guys never understand how we use the word a, right? Like you guys think this is how a Canadian talks sometimes. So anyway, I was at the store, and then I went over there, and I did that, and then I bought a shirt, and then I went home, and it's like, no. Think about how most Americans use the word huh. That's how we use a. It's the same fucking verbal tick, right? Sometimes we use it as a rhetorical question, but you do as well. I was over there. It was kind of stupid, huh? Like you guys do that. Yeah. You say that, huh? Well, we do the same thing. I was over there. It was kind of stupid, eh? It's a rhetorical question. It's so, it's always fun.
It's kind of funny. That's the only way I ever thought it was really used was I always thought it was that rhetorical question at the end of a sentence. It was like, oh man, I'm feeling pretty good, eh? That's what I always kind of thought of. Which,
listen, buddy, it was a great day. We had a good time, eh? Don't ruin it now. Just the way we are.
There we do. Hey, we got 45 minutes left. Let's just change accents for the entire time.
Absolutely. I think this is a brilliant idea, and I'm all in for it. Let's go.
No. Not trade accents with other people. Trade with each other.
Oh, you gotta be Southern. All right, then. I'll be Southern. You do Canadian. We'll make it all work. God bless you. Yeah,
I think that'll be great. Nah,
I think that'll be
the best thing I'll do is I'll be fucking Chicagoan. Is the closest I'll come.
I love Chicago accents. They're probably my favorite. Next to a Brooklyn accent, they're probably my favorite American accent is the Chicago.
My wife's from Chicago, and I tell her all the time she's from Southern Canada.
Chicago is sausage. You can have yourself a nice sausage. It's
right. You got to go and you got to watch the Bears, and we got
the Bears is going to play. Have ourselves a brat. It'll be great. It'll be a good time. These fucking Jagos over here don't even know. I love that accent. But I also love the Boston accent. When I was a bouncer, I remember I wasn't working one night. Montreal and Boston, we have an old rivalry. We hate each other as cities. And there was a fight happening in front of a bar I used to work at as I was walking by, and there was a local rockabilly gang called the Del Phantoms, and they were rumbling with a bunch of Boston guys. It was about 89. And the other bouncers weren't getting in. I'm like, what's going on, guys? Why aren't you helping out? And he said, well, the owner said if we fight tonight, we're fired. I went, well, I don't fucking work for him anymore. So I'm going to go in and help my boys. So I jumped in and I started pushing guys out of the way. And then I grabbed this one guy and I threw him in front of me. He was maybe about 5'7", 5'6". And he looks at me and he gets that fire look in his eye. And he starts towards me like he's going to get angry. And his buddy throws his arm in front of him. And in this fucking amazing Boston accent goes, nah, he's wicked large. I had to turn my head because I was going to start laughing because it was just the funniest thing I ever fucking heard. He's a wicked lad.
That's what I always thought about when we heard Ben Affleck was going to be Batman in the new Batman movie. I was like, what are we going to be? He's like, hey, man, we got to go and get the Bat car.
You get the Bat car. Let's go.
Oh, my God.
It's a batarang. How the fuck? What? No. But anyway, accents are fun, but that's something else. Accents are... So like I have one player who is from Alabama in a lot of my games. Never does accents, just talks like himself. We were playing Star Trek, and he was playing an Orion, and his Orion sounded like he was from Alabama. And I'm like, dude, you ain't gonna try. He goes, got to be a south on Orion. And I was like, all right. I'm gonna let
hold
that
on
fly.
a second. It's like I gotta have one question here. It's like, why the hell does your alien keep ending sentences with roll tide?
Exactly. Well, yeah, but you know what? He made the point. There's got to be a south on Orion, so it's like, all right, fair enough, man. Play a Vulcan next time because I think that'd be funny as fuck. You know
What you got to do, Paul? Come on now.
I don't know there, Captain Kirk, but I tell you this: the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one.
Well, I tell you what, that there warp drive is gonna get you. That warp drive. I'll tell you, man, you just got to get in there and turn that thing over there. You need a couple of extra stars.
Live long and prosper and bless your heart. Like what?
Oh, bless your heart, fine. Man. You ain't got it. You ain't got a thing here to say that warp drive. I'm telling you, man, them dilithium crystals. You got to go get the good dilithium crystals.
Now I got a guy over on Rigel 7. He'll hook you up right quick with the best stuff. I tell you, you can trust this guy. It's going to be quality material.
That's right, quality.
Yeah,
quality. Telling you, man, the best ones you can get. Don't go to nobody else. Oh,
but that's the thing. Have fun when you're role playing. That's like everyone seems to have forgotten that lately. Have fun. This is meant to be fun and escapist, not, hey, the world sucks. Let's make the game suck too. No, have fun, man. Come on.
Seriously, I mean, that's one of the easiest fun ways to play with things. And if you want to throw your characters off, you want to get them in there. Just as a stupid aside, make every single dwarf from Georgia. That'll throw them off because they're all from Scotland now anyway. Make them all from Florida. Make all your dwarfs in Valorous. Every dwarf is from Florida. They're all like Ronnie Van Zant. Man, I'll tell you, I'll say, man, that forge, man, I got to go make me some steel. I'll tell you, man, you just swing that hammer and it'll make me a sword.
I'm so tired of Scottish dwarves. I'm so tired of Irish halflings because of the Lord of the Rings movies. In my setting, the Kingdom of Keldara, mountain dwarves are Germanic. Yeah, we dig in the dirt. That's what we do. Yeah. And the hill dwarves are Yiddish. I dig in the dirt. I bring home gold. I bring home diamonds. What does she want? Rubies. I can't give this to her. And I made all my halflings Canadian / like Minnesotans, Wisconsinites, Upper Peninsulites. They're just all like, oh yeah, we're gonna go dig in the dirt. It's gonna be good, eh? Let's do her.
Shellback says we need Appalachian dwarven miners.
No, we don't. Dear God, no.
I think that's great.
Goblins should be from Appalachia. Kentucky goblins.
What part of Appalachia?
Kentucky. Kentucky, because of Kentucky goblins.
I'll give you that. I'll give you the Kentucky. But you get up into West Virginia, I'm waiting for a dwarf to come back singing John Denver.
Well, I tell you this. To you guys, you understand the difference between a Tennessee accent and a Kentucky accent and a Virginian accent. To the rest of us, y'all just sound like mountain people.
I'm just saying, there's difference there. Like there's not even the same accent in Alabama, because you have the Alabama accent that's kind of where I'm at, where you kind of talk a little bit fast and everything comes out pretty quick, and sometimes words get put together. But then you also have that Southern Alabama accent where people open their mouth the whole way every single time they say a word. And every time they say something, they say the whole world, and they say it kind of a little bit fast, but they open their mouth the entire way.
What was Forrest Gump's accent supposed to be?
Tom Hanks not knowing how to speak like a Southerner.
He was going for something
kind of like a northern Mississippi-ish accent is kind of where I think Forrest Gump is as a character is technically from Alabama, but that kind of accent like this is more of a Mississippi thing. It's almost like when you get to what's that preacher's name? What's that? Hey, the preacher who got caught with all them hookers down in New Orleans.
Jerry Falwell?
Jamie Swagger.
Jimmy Swagger.
Jimmy Swagger says
Jimmy Swagger.
That I did not know what was going to happen at the hotel. That is very much a Mississippi accent.
Interesting.
Which is what people use for Robert E. Lee for no reason, because that ain't what it sounds like in Virginia. Let's see here. Back on gaming, now that we're talking about the Southerners here. Oh, there we go. Shellback said he played a Southern Virginia gentleman farmer in 3.5 once. Sounds like he was playing Dark Sun.
I ran a Star Trek game one time where the doctor was Southern and the engineer was Southern. And at one point in time, while they were on an away mission, they were talking over communicators to each other, but they were both being such gentlemen to each other. They were, well, I don't know about that, doctor, but I'll tell you this for sure. And they were going back and forth. After about 5 minutes, one of the other players went, for fuck's sake, just have a goddamn mint julep and beam us up. It's like he just lost it. He was like, I can't take this anymore.
There's your answer.
Yeah, Greenbow, Alabama. There you go.
Greenbow, Alabama. Like I said, he's supposed to be from Alabama, but the accent is more of a Mississippi accent, to be honest. Funster actually has some gaming stuff here. Because just in case we decided we had a topic at some point.
Sure.
What do we think about a section in the book about how to behave when your character dies for the first time? Perhaps with perforated pages, uses this detachable tissue paper for the criers.
Yeah, there you go, man. Fuck, learn.
I don't know. I mean, it seems like a waste of entire page to just say, get over it, roll a new character. That seems like a real, how much font, what size font would that?
Well, you do them as little terrible 3x6 cards. So that way you can just print a page of them, tear it out, fold, tear, and then just when the character dies, hand them a card. On one side it says, shit happens, get over it. The other side, roll a new character. There you go.
I mean, that kind of fits, though. I mean, I've always been fond of the whole when stuff, you roll out there, they fail their save, or you roll the damage or whatnot for the monster. I've always been fond of hey, all right, man, I need you to roll 3d6. I need you to roll 3d6 again for me. Go ahead and roll another 3d6. And just see how long it takes for them to figure out what they're doing.
Oh, I'm dead. Okay.
Damn
I guess I'm playing a wizard because I got a 19 intelligence.
I tell you, Jenny killed my wizard.
Well, roll 3d3. There you go. You suck. 3d3. Yeah, enjoy that, fucker.
All right, now, unfortunately, I think I need to design some kind of Southern role playing game. Maybe I ought to go back and make a Civil War role-playing game that actually doesn't suck, because every single attempt to make some kind of Southern Civil War themed, I'm sorry, I'm being very disrespectful and very offensive towards my international guest here. American Civil War themed game.
We've never had a Civil War here, so we understand Civil War. It's that thing you guys never shut up about. We know. We're aware. We're very much aware. It confuses us, but we're like, yes, this sounds like an interesting thing where you killed 800,000 of each other. Yes.
600,000 of each other by more recent estimates. And actually going up, we think we may have killed even more of each other.
Certainly, I think one of the biggest deaths of Americans, but that's neither here nor there. There is the Old Gods of Appalachia role-playing game.
Old Gods of Appalachia is kind of and that really is more like Hetfield and McCoy type stuff. Which is cool, don't get me wrong, but it's another one of those situations where the people who did it didn't bother to understand how things actually work in the South.
You know, my second favorite horror film of all time is?
What's that?
Pumpkinhead.
Pumpkinhead?
Pumpkinhead.
Oh, Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, it's fucking, what's his name? Oh, Jesus Christ. Bishop from Alien. I've worked with the man. I can't remember his fucking name right now. It's going to drive me crazy. The guy was the star of Millennium. The fuck is his name?
You say Pumpkinhead. The only thing I think of Pumpkinhead is Dusty Rhodes.
No, man. Dusty Rhodes, the dream, baby. The baby. You don't understand, baby. I was down there with that Pumpkinhead, and I gave him a little bit of the hand job, baby. Walked the Dusty Roads of America. But Lance Henriksen. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's an Appalachian horror film, and it's really good. And it's a decent. Don't watch any of the sequels; they're garbage. But the first one, Pumpkinhead, chef's kiss, so good.
I definitely have to check that out, though. Like I said, it's always going to be Dusty Rhodes to me. My former business partner of mine, he was actually an owner of the company that I was part of. One of the part owners. he's huge in the pro wrestling world. He's married to Ric Flair's daughter, and he has podcasts. He does a podcast with Bruce Pritchard.
Mm.
Bruce Pritchard is amazing at he does really good impersonations.
Oh, he does. His Piper's pretty good.
Yeah, and he talked about going on the road with Dusty Rhodes. Yeah, man, I'm the most third most recognizable athlete behind Muhammad Ali. Head. They're gonna know what I'm doing.
my favorite Dusty Rhodes ever is when he was just rambling one day. He goes, "What it is and what it looks like are not always the same thing. What you got to understand, brother, is that it's not the size of the dog in the fight; it's the size of the fight in the dog. So be the baddest dog in the pound." It's just like, what are you fucking high on? What have you been drinking, man? But I love Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty would, Dusty. A lot of people think Dusty was just as bad as Hulk Hogan when it came to working with people in the back.
Oh yeah,
like he was.
Well, that's why we have to do. They're
going to work for the dream. I don't think they're going to work for me, Punkenhead.
You know the Dusty finish, right?
Oh yeah. So that he didn't have to lose.
Exactly. See, what most people don't understand is that I invented the Dusty finish when I was living in the Baja.
Oh, man. Trying to be a sexual tyrannosaurus over
Tyrannosaurus, just like me.
Oh, man. It's an impossible shot. They're talking about Lee Harvey Oswald. It's like, dude, I get that you were a Navy SEAL. You ought to know better. It's not an impossible shot. I've got a Carcano in my closet, and I've done it myself at the gun range just for fun to see if I can hit a head-sized target at that range from elevation that many times in that amount of time.
But I've also heard snipers talking about it, and they go, well, you have to take into consideration, one, the timing, the location, his nerves, all the other things that would have factored into it, and that's where the X factors come in. Though I'm not here to debate the Kennedy assassination. I'm just saying there's a reason why we still argue about it, because there's lots of
there's no doubt that it was a difficult shot under all of those circumstances, but there's people who act like you could not possibly make that shot.
Yeah, those people are crazy. They just want to be absolutists on their side of the story. But yeah, Dusty Rhodes, all those guys. I love old school wrestling, man, because it's just the best ever. And I grew up watching Flair. I grew up watching Savage. I grew up watching Hogan. I mean, you know what, brother? It's just like I grew up on all that shit. But
I thought his most famous promo was, "That doesn't work for me, brother."
That didn't work for me, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
When my creative control contract comes for you.
What you gonna do when I sign the contract and bring Brutus in? Brother Brutai will be here, brother.
The booty.
We're gonna put an intercontinental belt on him, brother. We don't have that in this league. We'll put a television champion belt on him, brother. My God, Hogan.
See what we got here. Every time I use a Southern accent in my group, I assume that it's a black accent, and I find that interesting.
Wow.
Georgia.
Wow.
Those aren't even remotely close to the same. Even the black Southern accent is different.
I used to bounce at this hip hop club in Vancouver, and there was a bouncer who worked with us at the time. He was 50. His name was Sugar, and Sugar he was a pimp, and he used to be a Golden Gloves boxer. And when Sugar talked to you, Sugar talked like this: "Brother, I don't know what we're gonna do, homie. We're gonna have to fuck him up. That's the way. Let's go fuck that motherfucker up." So I have a character in my Zenith universe called Dogman, who's like a 70s hero, who's now just an old, barbecuing in the backyard. Brother, that's what we're gonna do. Come on over. We'll make some food, drink some beer, and have a good time. And I was running a scene where they were arguing about this other dead hero, and I dropped an N-bomb by accident because I was so in Sugar. I was like being Sugar, and I dropped it. That N-bomb, that N-word owed me money. And then I just my brain went, oh, fuck. Like, what did you just say? You were so in the character. No one noticed. It was like, thank you. But wow, it was crazy.
At least it wasn't a live stream. Your whole channel.
It was a live stream.
Oh, shit.
But no one noticed.
Lose your whole channel.
No one noticed.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah, but that's the thing. Gaming is meant to be fun. Let's keep it fun, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the long and short of it is it's and this is, you want to talk about a controversial opinion. When you're playing a character, it's like, well, that's the kind of thing that character might say. Now, you shouldn't be a jackass about it, and you shouldn't be stupid about it. But it's like, I mean, I've played Call of Cthulhu games where one of my black players is walking around through like the hills in North Carolina in the 1920s. And when he comes across old Appalachian guy in North Carolina, they ain't kind to him.
Hey, listen, I'm not going to debate this, but I mean, you just got to be careful. You know, games.
You got to know
there's a level of realism. It's fine, but then there's like, we don't need to then bring out all the hate and all the nasty stuff too.
No, and that is absolutely the case of it. Like like take that particular situation in mind. I didn't use that particular slur. I used a different one, but the point is like, I delivered the point that this guy was incredibly racist and that he better get off the property or that they better do something quick because this guy was not, it was kind of one of those, hey man, where's the shop? It's back the way it came, type situations. But that's the end of it. The message has been delivered. There's no need to hammer this home and try and be an ass about it. It's like, oh, this person is one of those folks. Maybe we ought to go back to Chapel Hill, the University of North Carolina, where I'm a little bit more respected.
Well, yeah, I mean, they called me Mr. Tibbs, but it's just one of those things where it's like, I get that and I understand that, but at the same time, we don't need to go there. Like, we can let the games not have the ugliness show up as well. I mean, my God, we don't have to do it just to make the game realistic. There are people who do. And they like doing it because it gets them to be edgy. And it's like, you know what? There's one thing I can't fucking stand is people who want to be edgy.
No, you don't be edgy to be edgy at all. And you don't do it in a, let's use a hypothetical here. I got you driving through Alabama in the middle of the civil rights movement and your character's black. You're not going to just pull up to the Quickie Mart and have like, you best not be here when the sun goes down, boy. You're not going to have that kind of interaction. It's pointless. You might have that kind of interaction with the DA that you now have to get information from that's like critical to the Call of Cthulhu scenario we're running in Natchez, Mississippi with the ghosts and stuff, because that is a key NPC and you need to understand that this guy is going to behave in a certain way and then maybe manipulate that and use it to your advantage. But you don't need that from like, here's a random encounter. You got pulled over by the police, Edmund.
It's just, role-playing is meant to be fun. I keep going back to that point. Make it fun. If it's not being fun, stop doing what you're doing and be fun. And
that's right. And you got to know who you're with, too. You got to know what they're doing. You don't drag somebody for any reason. You don't do stuff just to piss off your players.
No,
like that just makes you an asshole.
No, but do things to fuck with your players. Oh,
absolutely. Constantly.
That's just the rule.
How about mechanically? If you design a game, how do you design a fuck with your players mechanic directly into the game?
I have one in Heroic 5e, believe it or not.
But you might have.
I have a bunch of mook rules, but I also have boss rules for boss NPCs, and they can once per encounter dismiss 2 conditions on themselves because they're bosses. So you do your whole thing and they go, I don't think so, young man. Julian, take care of this. And you're like, but I used my thing that makes him slow. Well, he used his boss power to negate that and he's not suffering that condition. Thank you. I want to create.
We all have to agree that LBJ paid for the bullet.
I know nothing. I say nothing. I hear nothing. But I don't know how the Clintons did go back in time, but they did somehow. But that's okay. Anyway,
LBJ might be the prototype for the Clintons, but
it's the proto-Clinton.
That kind of ropes all the stuff, all the controversial stuff we've said in like the past 15 minutes into LBJ. I mean, N-words and shooting Kennedy and all that stuff like that. That ropes LBJ in all together by himself.
Wanting to fight fellers and showing them his dick. What the fuck, man? That guy was president. Anyway, so
press conferences on the toilet.
One of the things I'm going to figure out maybe to add in a second edition or I'm thinking about doing a companion guide already for some neat ideas, is I'm looking at using the layer action and the legendary actions from 5e for big name supervillains. All right, so if the villain's in his layer, he's got a couple of layer actions available to him. And if he's a big enough they are a big enough villain, they have some fucking legendary powers that they can bust out that you're like, oh shit, that hurt. And it's like, yeah, that's because you're fighting Dr. Doom, bitch.
I was about to say
this isn't the shocker.
That immediately brings Dr. Doom to my head because I'm like, Dr. Doom is the guy who has a contingency for every plan for every contingency plan and has everything figured out. So having those layer actions is just so 100% what Dr. Doom should have. Like almost like they were designed with Dr. Doom in mind.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We got.
I love how Garraby says having fun isn't the point of play. There is literally nothing Garraby says that I would ever want to put in a GM's guide ever.
Jesus, you want to talk about game design? Our alleged topic tonight. You want to talk about a game design thing? This is the dumbass, and I cannot get off of this because it's so fucking stupid. This is the dumbass who came out with a bunch of videos about how to use a Wizard of Earthsea's magic system in D&D, but has never read the books ever and says, well, you know, a friend of mine told me about the magic system and I took really good notes and then I fed my notes into AI to get them to help me. And this is somehow how to adapt this novel series magic system into D&D. And I'm going to make videos about it. It's like, get the fuck out of here, Garabay. Jesus, tap dancing Christ. I'm sick of counting your damn boogers every time I turn on your channel. I've thought about mocking him, like literally like turning on my phone camera while I'm driving and like holding it like right here, just being like this. Like, hey friends, how's it going? And just holding it up and just like showing it straight up my nostrils. And then saying the dumbest shit I can think of.
Friends, you keep using this word. I do not think it means what you think it means. Like, yeah.
Here, we got some stuff from Limey, who I believe is one of your players, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he is. Yeah, Limey plays in one of my games, yeah.
Start off with, he said that Coyote and Crow, tabletop game created by Indigenous Americans. I will say one that you might want to check out. If you haven't looked at Spirit Bear Studios, they have, I've actually done a tabletop review of it here on the channel, and I believe, is this it right here? Nope, that's Traps and Layers. Somewhere I actually printed this off, but they did a, here it is. They did this game right here, this Colonies and Conquerors game.
Okay.
Which I actually really liked. I really liked the idea of it because this is a, well, like I said, this is all printed out as a PDF. I'm like, I don't even think there's any artwork or anything in it, but in this version. But he had good tables and stuff like that. But it's an Age of Sail game.
Okay.
Which is rare because I mean, you don't really see a lot of Age of Sail adventure series. So it's actually a pretty cool game there. That's he is one of them whole engine folks himself, an indigenous person, and he's got some really cool stuff in his based on like shamanistic magic and that sort of thing. But that's another really cool.
Age of Sail doesn't appeal to me because I don't want to have to roll for rum sodomy or the lash.
Oh, but come on, but you get to keel haul people.
Ooh wee!
You can keel haul a player. I don't know what he's saying about and downtime rules because I don't see the first the first half of this comment.
I don't know what he means.
Mr. Square Peg, it is called Colonies and Conquerors by Spirit Bear Studios. Not to be confused with Bear the Gen X GM. Not the same bear, different bear. But yeah, so hopefully Limey will come back and expound upon whatever the first half of that comment was when he was asking about, and no, he lost what he said. It was and something.
Yeah, something about downtime rules.
Yes, and downtime rules. Which, I mean, I don't really care too much about downtime. Oh, there you go. There are downtime rules.
Yeah, yes. There are. There are definitely downtime rules in Heroic 5e. Absolutely. Listen, I'm proud of the game. I will sing its praises because I think it's one of the best things I've ever done, and I love playing it, and I want more people to play it so they can understand it. And it started with a very simple premise, which is for years I've said you cannot do level in class superhero games because no one ever does them right, and every one of them winds up being, I'm a 2nd level Wolverine, and I also have 3 levels in Spider-Man. It's like, no. So one of the big changes I did is remember that who, what, where, when, why, and how. Your class does not define what you do. It defines how you do it. Your powers and everything else defines what you do, but the class defines your method of application. So there's like a bruiser, a striker, a vanguard. They have all these neat names, and like you could, a bruiser. Well, it's like the Hulk's a bruiser, yes, but you could also have a mentalist who's a bruiser, who's just really into overwhelming and dominating with their power, as opposed to being subtle about it and things like that. It works really fucking well. In fact, Limey's character was a bruiser. And then through the way he played after the 2nd session, we were all like, maybe you want to be a guardian because you keep trying to get in the way of everybody's damage for them. And bruisers don't do that. So maybe you should respect your character as a guardian. And that's what he's doing. And it makes more sense for him. So that's the idea, right? Is I don't want you to be a level 7 Spider-Man. I don't want you to be a level 10 Captain America. I want your character to be your character. Shameless plug for my YouTube channel.
I'm definitely, hey, you can be as shameless as you want to be for $10 a pop. Shameless plug for my YouTube channel, Shellback Bow, where I record my brain puking to make the Ignited Dice Engine rule set and associated Holy Byzantine Shogunate setting. You know what you need to do? You need to make sure you go subscribe to his channel. You need to subscribe to his channel multiple times if you can. Go subscribe, do the likes, the shares, and all that fun stuff. Yeah, but we're just going to leave that up there for a minute because that's called being shameless. For $10, it will stay there. It will stay there until somebody else pays to be up there, or until something really important does. Yeah, send me a link, man, and I will. I don't know if you can find me. If you got me there on X, shoot me your link. Just DM it to me, and I will make sure that falls into the chat.
There you go.
Or just, post it with the www not on it, and then I'll turn around and fix it for you. We can make that work.
Also, if you take his username at Shellbackbow and just put www.youtube.com/ in front of it, it'll take you right to his channel.
Don't you have to half-ass set that up?
If he has it showing here's his name, it'll be his channel.
Good.
Should be, anyway.
We are going to do /shell back. B-E-A-E.
Yep, there it is.
There it goes.
I'm subscribed to him.
There you go. Shellback Bo posted in the old chat.
There you go. Go sub to his
Except for
channel.
if I search it, it just turns around and says, nope, because if I click it, it gives me a 404 not found.
Works for me. I just typed it in. www.youtube.com. Oh, you didn't put the at. You have to put the at symbol in front of Shellback Bow.
Aha.
I put the link in the private chat. You can just copy it from the private chat.
That would be nice. I mean, that is one of these days I'll figure out how this magical YouTube nonsense works.
I don't understand the magic glowing box, but I like that I get to see titties.
That's right. I don't know how that picture box works.
Every now and then I get to see some big old bitties, and that makes me happy.
Every so often. And that makes it all all right.
Worth the price of admission.
That's what we do around here, folks. Thank you, Mr. Shellback Bow. Of course, he's been a channel member for a little while now, which is fantastic. Which, just so you guys know, with the exception of Intelligence as a dump stat, if you are a member, you actually get my stuff early. Usually at least a few days, sometimes several days early. For instance, the seven keys video that this episode is ostensibly about, you got it on Sunday. Matter of fact, Shellback Bow was making comments on it, 4 and 5 days before anybody else could see it, which I do appreciate, by the way. So that's actually kind of funny because that kind of goes back into circling back around when you talk about how you basically took the classes in 5e and turned them around into how they use the stuff, being a bruiser and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because that does kind of answer that. The feel is more important than the real, but it is a feeling-based thing. If you are a superhero, Spider-Man does not feel like his powers just get more powerful as he goes throughout the comic book. He gets better at doing the things he does,
Yes.
at the investigative type stuff, at the figuring things out, at the managing. Well, actually, he never really gets better at managing his personal life.
No.
But, at the managing things going around and, managing having the secret identity and stuff. But the powers are the powers from day one to whatever day we're on for Spider-Man. Same thing with Superman. Same thing with
we're on brand new day, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, but no, that's the whole thing, right? And that's why, like people who want to level and get stuff, I have ways to do that for you. Get talents, you pick up new skills, things like that. Sure, but ultimately you should be getting better at being who you are as you go along. You can multi-class, but if you multi-class, you're choosing breadth over depth. There's only 10 levels in the game. 10. That's it. That's all. So if you multi-class, you immediately lock yourself out of the level 10 capstone abilities. So someone who takes, Bruiser and sees it all the way through will get that bonus at the end for having seen it all the way through. Whereas the guy who's like, I'm a level 3 Bruiser, a level 2 Striker, and a level 5 Strategist. Okay, well, you're never going to get those capstone abilities, but you have breadth now. You have more choices available to you. So it all works out. We're playtesting the shit out of it, and that's more fun anyway.
Well, I mean, there you go. That's key 7. That's actually the last of the 7 keys, is that playtesting is infinite.
Oh my God, yes.
It never ends. I'm a firm believer that first edition is playtesting for second edition.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that is the case. Second edition is playtesting third edition. And it never ends. You can always fix it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there you go. Bill the Dungeon SBB approved. Shellback Bow approved. Bill the Dungeon Delver recommended. That is correct. That is me. I am Bill the Dungeon Delver recommended and Shellback Bow approved, though Bill will probably end up on Intelligence as a dump stat again here soon. But anyway, so we are sitting in the last 9 minutes of this stream.
Uh-oh.
We are coming up on the end here. What are the important tips and keys that you have when it comes to people who want to design their own game?
Know what you're doing, know why you're doing it, and have a design philosophy in place before you start.
Define it. Define.
Well, okay. So for Valorous, I wanted to do a game that allowed you to be in a dark setting, but you were hopeful beacons of light. So the rules are all based around you being good people and trying to fix the world and make the world brighter and better. So the rules have to support that behavior pattern. For Heroic 5e, I wanted a game where you could do superhero action without being tied up in nonsense comic book emulation. And I wanted you to be able to play superheroes that are actually fun and interesting and use the rules and all that fun stuff. So I had design philosophies in mind for both of them before I wrote one fucking word. If you don't have those words written down, if you don't know why you're doing it, then why the fuck are you doing it? Like the world does not need another BX clone. I promise you. Mine will never be published. It's sitting on the shelf. I did a custom print of it from Lulu. I'm very proud of it. I'm happy with it, but I would never publish it because the world doesn't need another fucking BX clone or a white box or a third edition or anything. It doesn't need another fucking clone of these things. Also, play other games than D&D so you can see how things are done and get different ideas in your head. Oh my God, what a crazy concept. Learn how the hobby works by trying different aspects of it. You'll find things that surprise you, you'll find things that interest you, and you'll find things you want to emulate, and you'll find things you want to fix. Once you have all that down, you know why you're doing it, you know what you're doing, now you just got to do it. That's where the how comes in. That's when the when and the where comes in. And you can do that. It's very easy to do. Designing a game is not hard. Play test the living shit out of it before you publish it. Like make sure it works. Because I guarantee you, your first draft of the game might have great ideas, but you made mistakes. You have old fucking flavor text in there that was from a previous run before you changed the rule. You didn't see it on the read-through because you're too close to it. So play test it. Let people find the problems. Let people find the things that sounded good in your head, but don't execute at the table. It's important. So many games get released and you can tell they never fucking play tested this. They just wrote down an idea and ran with it. Well, no.
Yep.
Make it more interesting. That's
I'll
about
be
it.
honest. So you got to have people play test it that you're not involved with. Not necessarily, you don't know them, clearly. But you have
You're not running the game for them.
You can't run the game for them. And sometimes not even be in the game. Just say, hey, run this at a table for me. Yep. And come back with what's wrong. Because you can't be there. Like, you don't want to be there for them to keep looking at you for, how is this supposed to work? How is this supposed to work? How is this supposed to work? You don't want to be there to say, no, hold on. It's supposed to work like this. This is the idea. You want them to read through it, figure out how they read it, and then come back and say, this didn't make sense to me. And it's like, because I didn't write it clearly. I didn't explain this mechanic the way it needed to be explained, because you're not going to be there to explain it to every single person who buys the game. If you're lucky. I mean, you might be. I mean, and then, sorry, but you just spent money to publish a game that didn't go anywhere. Sure. If you have any level of success, you're not going to be there to handhold these people. So get it play tested as much as you can. Give it away. And that's actually what I'm working on right now with, I'm actually working on this with the OGGM, is I'm taking predominantly the combat rules for my 3612 system, and I'm developing them into a shonen anime tournament fighting game that I'm going to do pay what you want on DriveThruRPG. Why? Because I want people to download it, even if they don't pay me for it, and I want them to play it. And I want them to come back and tell me how they broke my combat system and how this was busted and that was busted, so I can get under the hood and fix those things before I put it into some hardback book that I'm going to sell.
Good luck with that. You will find very quickly, pay what you want, no one bothers. They think it's garbage because you're giving it away, and feedback is next to impossible. Use your Discord, use your X people, use the people you know to generate those feedback loops, because randos will not do it, and it sucks. And it is the hardest lesson to learn about publishing, is that you can have an audience of 1,000 people, 100,000 people, 1,000,000 people. Math tells us 10% should engage. No. 1% might engage, and it sucks, and it makes you mad, and you waste all this time, and blah, 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 blah. It's just well. Yep. Publishing sucks. You want to make $1 million? You want to have $1 million in RPG publishing? Start with 2.
Yep. I was about to say, start with 2. Start with 2. So let's knock out some of these last few comments, and then I'm going to let you return to the Great White North. Let's see here. Of course, Mr. Kennedy leveled out several different games: Traveler, Cyberpunk, Cthulhu, Boot Hill, Champions, to name a few. Yeah. Definitely worth looking. I'm not the world's biggest Boot Hill guy.
Me neither.
To me, Boot Hill leaves the reservation of being a game and turns into a LARP. It's way too LARPy, Bronsteiny for me to really consider it role-playing game anymore. Yeah. At least in the modern situation. But and Traveler, I guess it depends on which Traveler. Honestly, I think you might want to play all the Travelers, or at least read all the Travelers, because there's a lot of things to learn in Traveler. Let's see here. Yep, same thing with settings. Limey Dragon, that's a good point. Looking at different settings and seeing what they do well and what they do poorly is a good idea. As a matter of fact, you can look at Forgotten Realms and find how to do just about everything wrong and how to do several things very right, but just about everything wrong. That teaches you that the kitchen sink approach breaks itself very quickly. And Shellback, he's definitely completely scrapped and restarted from scratch several times. You kind of have to, because you think it's great until somebody does it, and then it blows up.
I have like 10 unpublished systems because they all ran into a design point where I went, I can't figure out how to fix that. I'm going to have to put that down until I get an idea. And then sometimes I come back to them, and that's fun. Sometimes I don't. Most times I don't.
Never played Champions of Cthulhu's Boot Hill because Bear hasn't written it yet.
Well, it'll be our first cozy horror punk game.
Cozy horror punk?
Yeah. Just gonna
How do you
buzzword
make
the shit out
cozy
of it.
horror punk?
I'll tell you when I publish it, but I'm gonna make cozy horror punk.
That sounds very counterintuitive.
Sounds stupid.
Incredibly stupid. Yes. And of course, Steve Kennedy likes Pulp Cthulhu. I think Pulp Cthulhu is okay. I actually prefer regular Call of Cthulhu. If you're going to play Pulp Cthulhu instead, you should just take Cyberpunk 2020, pull the interlock system out of it, or just run Interlock Unlimited and play shoot the cosmic horror that way.
Shoot the Eldritch horror. Shoot it.
Shoot the Eldritch horror with Interlock Unlimited, because Interlock Unlimited is way better than Pulp Cthulhu at being Pulp Cthulhu. I would think, as the last little tidbit that's actually on topic today, that's kind of one of those things where Pulp Cthulhu is not bad. It is a fun game to play. But Pulp Cthulhu is a great example of where they were trying to, Call of Cthulhu was designed with all these things in mind, with all these principles in mind. And more importantly, the feel more important than the real. It was designed to give you that investigative feel. When they try to shoehorn the pulp action into it, you can kind of see through the gossamer there. You can see the man behind the curtain, which messes it up. And Interlock Unlimited, by the way, is a fan created open source. What's the word I'm looking for here, Bear?
It's interesting. Interlock Unlimited.
It's basically the system for Cyberpunk 2020 and Cyberpunk, but house rule is not the correct word. It's basically somebody took the Cyberpunk system, pulled it out, and corrected a bunch of stuff about it and made it better. Just some minor adjustments and quality of life improvements.
Fair enough.
So, Bear, you're the guest. You get the last word. Or we call it a night.
Peace, love, geek, and be heroic.
That's right. Be heroic for however much it costs to buy. Where can you buy it, by the way?
You can get print on demand on Amazon, because I want people to be able to afford shipping, and like Lulu or drive-through, and I'd also like them to get their games quickly. So when it's available on Amazon, you get it in like a day or two, which is really awesome. And you can also get it on TTRPG for $9, and there's a bunch of extra goodies that come with the digital version, so you can always have that too.
Awesome. So be heroic for $9 on TTRPG, or through Amazon, where you can get it tomorrow.
And the standard color is the best version. There is a black and white, and there is a premium color. Do not buy the premium color unless you just want to have a premium color book. You will not be supporting me if you do so, because I cut the margins so tight on that, I make like $1 or $2. If you're trying to support me financially, get the standard color or get the black and white. That's my recommendation to you. Or get the $9 PDF. You want a link? You guys are all Americans. Let me get you the American link. Hang on just a second.
Yep.
Let me go to Amazon.com.
Which, by the way, for those who pick this up later, the links will be added to the description. I will, once Bear sends all that over to me, I will add his links into the description of the video. So when it becomes a video, you can find it there too. But if you guys give it just a couple of seconds, once Bear throws it over here in the old Private chat, we will. I'll get it posted over there, and then we will call it a day.
So this is the link I'm giving you to my publisher page on Amazon. So you'll find Valorous, my novel, Valorous, my game, Covenant, another novel, and all 3 print editions of the Heroic 5e. And you can give them that if they would like to pick it up.
Fantastic. Well, let's see here. Let's do copy the link address, comments. Here you go, folks. It is pasted. It is in the chat. It is ready to rock and roll. Go buy some stuff.
You want the fantasy phase rip game? Valor's $20, baby. The rest are like $17 for the black and white Heroic 5e, $30 for the standard color, and I can't remember how much the premium color is. It's like
And when you're done buying all the bear stuff, grab yourself a copy of Corbin Codex, Volume 1.
Oh, actually, sorry. Right now, for some reason, it's $38.74 for the premium color in the U.S. market for Heroic Premium. If you want that premium color, get it. But if you want to help me buy the lesser editions, I make more money on them. Money!
Buy the cheap stuff. Give Bear more money. Awesome.
And, also, by the way, anyone who buys a copy of the print game, send me an email with your proof of purchase to zenithcomics@gmail.com, showing me the proof of purchase, and I will give you all the digital goodies that you get on Drive-Thru-RPG in a PDF if you don't want to go spend more money at Drive-Thru. If you want to help me, go buy it at Drive-Thru as well. But I'll give it to you for free. I don't mind. And join my Patreon, man. My Patreon's awesome.
Oh, yeah, here, he's got all the links, and they will be in the description of this once it goes into a video format. But for now, folks, hope you guys have a fantastic evening. And yes, Cyberpunk Cthulhu does sound awesome. See you guys.
Cozy horror punk.
That's right.
New way.
See you guys next time.